I'm Jeremy. Today's day 281. 281 of reading. Today reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's get started. Now I'm gonna make a goal. 250 followers before day 365. Or not. That's too much. Okay, anyways, let's go. We're on page 408. Why his heart rate returned to normal? Just prod me or something in the future, alright? Don't bend over me like that. Harry pulled back the curtains around his four-poster, took his glasses from his bedside table, and put them on. His yell had awoken Ron, Seamus Dean, and Neville. All of them were peering through the gaps in their own hangings, heavy-eyed and tussle-haired. Someone attacking you, Harry? Seamus said sleepily. No, it's just Dobby, Harry muttered. Go back to sleep. Nah, presents, said Seamus, spotting the large pile at the foot of his bed. Ron, Dean, and Neville decided that now they were awake, they might as well get down to some present opening too. Harry turned back to Dobby, who was now standing nervously next to Harry's bed, still looking worried that he had upset Harry. There was a Christmas bauble tied to the loop on top of his tea cozy. Can Dobby give Harry Potter his present? He squeaked tentatively. Course you can, said Harry. I've got something for you too. It was a lie. He hadn't bought anything for Dobby at all, but he quickly opened his trunk and pulled out a particularly knobby rolled-up pair of socks. They were his oldest and foulest, mustard yellow, and had once belonged to Uncle Vernon. The reason they were extra knobbly was that Harry had been using them to hush in his sneakoscope for over a year now. He pulled out the sneakoscope and handed the socks to Dobby, saying, Sorry, I forgot to wrap them. But Dobby was utterly delighted. Socks are Dobby's favorite clothes, sir, he said, ripping off his old ones and pulling on Uncle Vernon's. I has 7 now, sir. But, sir, he said, his eyes widening, having pulled both socks up to their highest extent, so that they reached to the bottom of his shorts. They has made a mistake in the shop, Harry Potter. They is giving you two the same. Ah, no, Harry, how come you didn't spot that? Said Ron, grinning over from his own bed, which was now strewn with wrapping paper. Tell you what, Dobby, here you go. Take these two, and you can mix them up properly. And here's your sweater. He threw Dobby a pair of violet socks he had just unwrapped, and the hand-knitted sweater Mrs. Weasley had sent. Dobby looked quite overwhelmed. Sir is very kind, he squeaked, his eyes brimming with tears again, bowing deeply to Ron. Dobby knew Sir must be a great wizard, for he is Harry Potter's greatest friend. But Dobby did not know he was also as generous as spirit, as noble, as selfless. They're only socks, said Ron, who had gone slightly pink around the ears, though he had looked rather pleased all the same. Wow, Harry! He had just opened Harry's present, a Chudley cannon hat. Cool! He jammed it onto his head, where it clashed horribly with his hair. Dobby now handed Harry a small package, or turned out to be socks. Dobby is making them himself, sir, the elf said happily. He is buying the wool out of his wages, sir. The left sock was bright red and had patterns of broomsticks upon it. The right sock was green with the pattern of snitches. They're really well. Thanks, Dobby, said Harry, and he put them on, causing Dobby's eyes to leap with happiness again. Dobby must go now, sir. We is already making Christmas dinner in the kitchens, said Dobby, and he hurried out of the dormitory, waving goodbye to Ron and the others as he passed. Harry's other presents were much more satisfactory than did Dobby's odd socks, with the obvious exception of the Dursleys, which consisted of a single tissue, an all-time low. Harry supposed they too were remembering the Tun-Tung toffee. Hermione had given Harry a book called Quidditch Team of Britain and Ireland. Ron, bulging bags of dumb bombs. Cyrus, a handy penknife with attachments to unlock any lock and undo any knot. And Harry, a vast box of sweet, including all Harry's favorites. Bertie Bott's every flavor of beans, chocolate frogs, Drooble's best blowing gums, and fizzing Whizbees. There was also, of course, Mrs. Weasley's usual package, including a new sweater, green, with a picture of a dragon on it. Harry supposed Charlie had told her all about the horntail and a large quantity of homemade mince pies. Harry and Ron met up with Hermione in the common room, and they went out to breakfast together. They spent most of the morning in Gryffindor Tower, where everyone is enjoying their presents. Then returned to the Great Hall for a magnificent lunch, which included at least 100 turkeys and Christmas pudding, large piles of Cribbage's wizarding crackers. They went out onto the grounds in the afternoon. The snow was untouched except for the deep channels made by the Durmstrang and Bucksbatten students on their way up to the castle. Hermione chose to watch Harry and the Weasley snowball fight rather than join in. At 5 o'clock, said she was going back upstairs to get ready for the ball. "What, you need 3 hours?" said Ron, looking at her incredulously and paying for his lapse in concentration when a large snowball, thrown by George, hit him hard on the side of his head. "Who are you going with?" he yelled after Hermione, but she just waved and disappeared up the stone steps into the castle. There was no Christmas tea today, as the ball included a feast. So at 7 o'clock, when it had become hard to aim properly, the others abandoned their snowball fight and trooped back to the common room. Fat Lady was sitting in her frame with her friend Violet from downstairs, both of them extremely tipsy. Empty boxes of chocolate and liqueurs littering the bottom of her picture. "Larry Feist, that's the one," she giggled when they gave the password, and she swung forward to let them inside. Harry, Ron, Seamustina, and Neville changed into their dress robes up in their dormitory, all of them looking very self-conscious, but not as much as Ron, who surveyed himself in the long mirror in the corner with an appalled look on his face. There was just no getting around the fact that his robes looked more like a dress than anything else. In a desperate attempt to make them look more manly, he used a severing charm on the ruffs and cuffs. It worked fairly well. At least he was now lace-free, although he hadn't done a very neat job, and the edges still looked depressingly frayed as the boy set off downstairs. "I still can't work out how you two got the best-looking girls in the year," said Dean. "Animal magnetism," said Ron gloomily, pulling straight threads out of his cuff. The common room looked strange, full of people wearing different colors instead of the usual mass of black. Parvati was waiting for Harry at the foot of the stairs. She looked very pretty indeed, in robes of shocking pink, with her long dark plait braided with gold and gold bracelets glimmering at her wrists. Harry was relieved to see that she wasn't giggling. "You, look nice," he said awkwardly. "Thanks," she said. "Padma's going to meet you in the entrance hall," she added to Ron. "Right," said Ron, looking around. "Where's Hermione?" Parvati shrugged. "Shall we go down then, Harry?" "Okay," said Harry, wishing he could just stay in the common room. Fred winked at Harry as he passed him on the way out of the portrait hole. The entrance hall was packed with students, too, all milling around waiting for 8 o'clock, when the doors to the great halls would be thrown open. Those people who were meeting partners from different houses were edging through the crowd, trying to find one another. Parvati found her sister, Padma, and led her over to Harry and Ron. "Hi," said Padma, who was looking just as pretty as Parvati in robes of bright turquoise. She didn't look too enthusiastic about having Ron as a partner, though. Her dark eyes lingered on the frayed neck and sleeves of his dress robes as she looked him up and down. "Hi," said Ron, not looking at her, but staring around at the crowd. Oh, no. He bent his knees slightly to hide behind Harry, because Fleur Delacour was passing, looking stunning in robes of silver grey satin, and accompanied by the Ravenclaw Quidditch captain. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to read page 413. 3, 2, 1. Peace out.